Well, welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Russell Jackman. Not sure if Vern's going to be able to join us this morning. We'll find
Yeah,
out.
I am the co-host.
That's right, the one and only co-host, Mr. Russell Jackman. Today's trivia theme is baseball's greatest teams. And yeah, don't worry. There's no like Louisville Colonels or Cleveland Spiders.
2012 San Francisco Giants.
That would be a good one.
2012 San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, when they came back,
they just are. I don't care. I don't care what anybody. I don't care what anybody tells me. Anything. 2012 San Francisco Giants are one of the greatest teams of all time.
Okay, wait, but hold on. So now
wire to wire.
They were just about 2 seconds ago. They were the greatest team. Now they're just one of the greatest teams.
Well, yeah. I mean, one thing is that when you win a championship, that's it. You're as good as you're going to get for that year. And so I don't want to take away from one of the 20s Yankees or even
the 50s Yankees.
Yeah, they were great teams in their own right, but the San Francisco Giants, for me, are always going to be my favorite team. The 2012
Sure.
San Francisco
Well,
Giants
that was a special one because they kept coming back from being down, and then and making it good. All right, when we come back, we have all kinds of really kind of very interesting things to talk about.
And they were the cockroaches. They were called the cockroaches.
Who is called the cockroaches? Who?
The Giants of 2012 were called
the
cockroaches
right? I don't even remember
because they were Bochy said they were like cockroaches. Yeah, they would
never say die.
They were just too damn hard to kill.
Gotcha. All right. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome. You're listening. What am I saying? Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. We already had our first segment.
Welcome forward.
Welcome forward. Yes, I'm Edward Brown along with Russell Jackman. Vern Glenn, not sure if he's going to join us today, but we'll find out. We're just going to keep going on. All right. So first, now we were actually off last week, so we had replayed a show, but I had this from 2 weeks ago, and I figured, what the hey, I'll bring it up. So what about KD, Kevin Durant's personal bodyguard coming onto the court to protect KD against PJ Tucker when they were just having like a simple jawing match? Can you imagine? Guy comes right out on the court to try to protect his man, but
he needs to be fined severely. Both KD and the bodyguard need to be fined severely. You can't have guys from their own hired thugs get on a basketball court. That's just absolutely.
Wait a minute now. I get fining the guard, but KD, how does he control him? I mean, that's not his fault.
Not bringing him to court. You're not bringing him on the court. The whole team should be fined for letting him be anywhere near the bench. You got a bodyguard. Your bodyguard should be waiting outside the locker room or waiting.
Oh, that's true. No, that's it. You know what? I didn't even think about that. What about Adam Silver? We got to find him too, huh?
Whoever let him get, unless he bought a ticket and was sitting in the front row and jumped in. I don't know necessarily for sure, but if he didn't pay for a ticket to be there, then anyone who allowed him to be there should be liable for being fined. And I think that you just can't have anyone. The only people that belong on the court are players, managers, coaches, and referees
and doctors, and the doctors if they need them. But can you imagine if PJ Tucker would have gotten injured because of this guy?
Yeah, it would have been a huge problem. And just people want to get involved in the show that don't deserve to be in the show. We're seeing a lot of that this year, where people are forgetting their boundaries and just walking on the court and saying, I can do what I want, and throwing things and literally trying to be as much a part of what's happening as the athletes themselves. And that needs to be nipped in the bud. I have been to 1 million wrestling matches. I've been to a million
Well, good.
ever. I
Well,
went on the field once, and that was in the late 80s when the Giants finished their very final game, what would have been their final game, the one that Brandon Crawford was at, against Cincinnati, and then they were going to move to St. Petersburg.
oh, that's right. And it looks like
That was the only time after that game I went on the field. I didn't rush it. It
yeah.
was basically going to be the last game ever at Candlestick Park.
Yeah, but you
And
didn't
then
do it during you didn't do it during the game. You did it like right after.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! 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 I waited until after the game was over and everybody
Yeah.
came on the
Yeah,
field.
that's totally different, And I got no problem with, anybody tackling people who go onto the field. They tell you ahead of time, stay off the field, stay off the court. This is not a place for you. Hey, yeah, I can imagine in wrestling, I can imagine some rowdy crowds.
Oh well, I was just watching the Roddy Piper documentary on A&E.
Uh-huh.
On
Yeah.
the A&E has been doing documentaries on wrestlers.
Okay.
I don't know if you've watched any of those.
I haven't watched them, but I know that they were doing. At least I know Roddy Piper. I knew they were doing him.
Yeah, and they said that at one time he'd been stabbed by fans so many times walking to the ring because people hated him so much that he actually wore a jacket that was lined with Kevlar.
Wow.
So that people couldn't stab him.
What were they stabbing him with? Pencils and
knives.
Little knives. I mean, I guess back then they didn't check you to see if you brought weapons in, or
Sergeant Slaughter. Yeah, no, they didn't. And plus you're talking, the backwoods, when you're in Mississippi and Cane Tucka and other, boot knives and people carrying,
So wait, what about Sergeant Slaughter?
Well, Sergeant Slaughter was talking to Piper, and he said, and Piper was holding his hand on his chest, and and Piper was like, Sergeant, I've been stabbed. And he took his finger off of it, and a fountain of blood came spewing out from his chest.
Did he continue?
And Sergeant Slaughter took him to the hospital and basically saved Piper's life that way.
Wow. So did they just stop? They just said, okay, we're not going on to the mat toward the match.
Yeah, no, you can't fight with a inch deep hole in your chest. And he said that if the guy had just missed it, had hit him about an inch different, he would have hit his heart.
Gee, did they get the guy?
Yes, yeah, they did arrest the guy.
I mean, that's attempted murder, really, right there.
Yeah.
And I see the handsome Mr. Vern Glenn. How's your audio there, Mr. Glenn? I can't hear you. Holy smokes, what's going on? I can see your pretty face, but I can't hear you at all. You might have
so maybe if I mouth, we can match my mouth movements with his face.
Yeah, no.
I can be Vern for the show.
How about now?
Yes.
There we are.
Mr. Vern Glenn, there he is.
There we go.
Otherwise,
the first thing I heard when I logged on was spew of blood, stab in the chest. I'm like, what are we talking about here? Like, whoa.
Talking about the three-legged races that were going on 4th of July. No. He was talking about an old Roddy Piper. Everyone hated this guy so much that he'd have people in the audience would stab him on the way to onto the ring. So he ended up wearing a jacket.
He played it up good. He was a good showman. He played a good bad guy.
Crazy. We were actually
one of the best.
Before you joined us, we started talking about because we were off last week. What happened a week before? Katie's personal bodyguard coming onto the court, and kind of getting in between him and PJ Tucker. And we're talking about, I mean, how do you let this bodyguard get that far? I mean, if he didn't buy a ticket, what's he doing down there? He should be waiting in the car for him, or in the stands somewhere. But that's kind of crazy. So let's see here really quickly. I saw something about they're going to have the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. Did you hear about that?
Tell me about the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl.
It's somehow Jimmy Kimmel is going to get his own bowl. Like the Peach Bowl and the Citrus Bowl. It's going to be some
Oh,
kind of
it's not
football
like
game.
bowling. Oh, it's
Yeah.
like a college bowl.
Like a college bowl. Yeah, the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl.
I thought you were talking about actual like bowling. Like
No. This has to do with I think it's football because I know I looked at the field and said the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. I have no idea
I
how.
know. I would actually find the actual bowling bowl to be more believable than actually make. Not that you're probably right that it is a college bowl, but it makes more sense to think of Jimmy Kimmel doing a celebrity bowling tournament than it is that he should sponsor a college. Well, I mean, what does he have to do with college football?
I have no idea. I just thought that was funny. Hey guys,
So it just says he's going to be Jimmy Kimmel will be the title sponsor. It's actually the L.A. Bowl, and they call it the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. I don't know why.
Okay. That sounds good.
But I'm sure this is an ABC kind of a joint venture type thing. Yeah, the game will air on ABC.
All right, here's our first trivia question coming to a break here. This we're talking baseball's greatest teams. This one's not that hard actually. This 1930s team was known as the Gas House Gang. The team was led by future Hall of Famers Joe Medwick, Frankie Frisch, and Dizzy Dean. Their biggest bat in the season was Ripper Collins, who batted .333 and hit 35 home runs and 200 hits. It's not bad for 1930s. They won the World Series against the Tigers. Which tremendous team was this? And we'll give you extra. We'll give you extra. We'll give you extra credit if you can name the year. But basically, which 1930s team was known as the Gas House Gang? All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown along with Vern Glenn. He's joining us finally in the studio here. And Mr. Russell Jackman. All right, this 1930s baseball team was known as the Gas House Gang. Featured with Joe Medwick and Frankie Frisch. How do you pronounce that? F-R-I-S-C-H. Frisch? Frisch. Okay. Yeah, and Dizzy Dean. They won the World Series against the Tigers. Which team was this?
St. Louis Cardinals.
Correct. Can you give me the year?
Cannot give it.
I mean, you got a 1 in 10 chance, right? It's somewhere in the 1930s.
30, 33, 4, something like
34.
that. 1934. 34. Okay. All right.
All right. Very good. All right. Now I just saw that. Just saw this morning. The Harlem Globetrotters, love those guys, are asking Adam Silver to make them an NBA franchise. I think that's really cool. I guess they may not have like a home court though.
It's kind of a traveling team.
Yeah. I mean,
not seriously. I mean,
no, seriously. But they're not good. I mean, obviously they won't do all the antics, because then it wouldn't be a real game. But hey, Will Chamberlain used to play for the Harlem Globetrotters before he.
Yeah, when they were doing tricks and bits and stuff like that. I will tell you this: having been a Globetrotter for a game.
That's right. Yes.
There are 2 sequences during the game where they take 3 to 4 minutes where they're playing for real. The rest of it is just all zany, madcap, bits. But there's a couple of instances during the game where they're actually playing for real for about 4 minutes.
And it's always against the Washington Generals?
Correct.
The
Washington Generals, yes.
Yeah. And it'd be kind of fun to be on the Generals team too. If you get to basically, isn't that the same team that would follow them? I mean, they would play them every time. So
that's usually how it goes. And that franchise is so big. They have an East Coast team and a West Coast team.
Gotcha. Yeah, they played like 120 countries, and they really got the whole world involved in basketball. Mm-hmm. Really, if it wasn't for them, So
they are the clown prince of basketball.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it'd be kind of neat to be, to be a player, because then if they're all, well, of course they're, as the Globetrotters, they're always playing as a team in general. But I don't know. I kind of like the idea. I think it'd be really kind of neat. I mean, again, like you said, for 3 or 4 minutes they play for real. Obviously, this would be they try to make it almost like an all-star team in a way. They try to get the best of the best, which I don't know how easy that's going to be to get That'd be kind of tough, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, if you're not having any home games, you're always traveling. I mean, you've got to probably have a couple of extra guys on the team to.
I would imagine if this were to come to fruition, I would think that there would be some home games at Madison Square Garden where they would share
Yeah.
with the Knicks.
Yeah, because otherwise, it really is just another franchise. It's just another franchise. That's all it is, really. I mean, if they
Yeah,
have a city that they would play in all the time. I thought
basically,
that was
yeah.
kind of neat. It's so funny. One of my questions was going to be about Kyrie Irving out for some time. What are the odds that the Nets will be advancing? 0
Yeah.
at this point. I can cross that off the list.
We have this in common with them. We'll all be watching the playoffs from home.
Yeah. And then will the U.S. boycott the 2022 Beijing Olympics, similar to what they did to Moscow in 1980? What do you think? I mean, all this thing with China and
Yeah, I
just yell coronavirus.
being a glass half full guy by nature, I would think that there's time to work that out. I'm just trying to get through the 2021 Olympics. Let me get through that.
Yeah.
And it's a big if
Yeah.
it really happens. So, but
I mean, how many participants are choosing not to participate?
in the Tokyo Olympics,
Yeah.
I don't know of one that's formally announced that they were skipping it. Do you?
I was reading that there were a couple of like gymnastics, maybe they were swimmers. I'm trying to remember now, but there were definitely a couple of people who said basically, yeah, I'm
Oh,
now,
you're talking about athletes that have qualified that aren't going.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That's not a story. I thought you meant countries.
Countries?
Said, no,
No, yeah, I don't think there were any countries that no, but the thing is also, with as time moves on and people get vaccinated and et cetera, and people, I don't say let their guard down, but feel more comfortable being around others. I think they could just continue. They'll just kind of say, okay, now I'm fine going ahead and playing.
the athletes that
Right.
I have interviewed for television that
Yeah.
are going have when I pose the question about any kind of anxiety they might have about being there,
Yeah,
they have told me that they have 100% confidence in the security and health measures that the IOC and everybody involved to these games going cleanly. Essentially, they're just casting a wide, almost hazmat suit net over all of these venues. So for something to happen, I think the percentages are small.
gotcha. Okay, that kind of makes sense.
And for these athletes who have trained all their lives for this moment, I mean, you want them to have a chance to
Yeah.
compete, and really nobody, not you, not me, nobody knows exactly the sacrifices, the work that's involved for them to even get to that moment. I mean, no, I mean, it's one of these, unless you walk in somebody else's shoes, you're
Yeah.
just never going to know. But I do
Well,
know
Yeah,
that
gentlemen, sorry
Yeah, that's
for
okay.
my disappearance.
That's all right.
It's okay.
We're just talking about the
They-
Olympics and with COVID and how many
they just worked
people
so
are
hard and
participating.
so long, and then they got postponed another year.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Steph Curry's not going. I'm glad that Steph Curry's
Yeah.
not going.
James Harden is, but Steph's not. Well, what you said, like what goes into it. My friend Paul Kingsman, who was in the Seoul Olympics in '88, 6 hours a day in the pool,
Yeah.
training and
Yep.
yeah, I mean, you eat, live, breathe, sleep. It's got to be your whole life in order to compete at that level. And
It is.
Oh yeah,
You have to
yeah.
give all of yourself to that.
yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I can.
My client had 3 daughters that he was trying to get through on rhythmic gymnastics,
Mm-hmm.
the floor stuff, and the ball, the hoop, and the
Yep.
ribbon.
Yeah,
And God, the amount of practices that those girls had to go to. Novato has a really amazing a gym actually not far from my house that has helped spawn a lot of Olympic dreams. So it's a big deal.
Yeah,
Big deal.
I remember before they had that, the ball, the ribbon, and all. They just kind of come up with these ideas. And I remember before synchronized swimming. I guess one day someone just said, "Hey, look at that! That's kind of neat. Well, let's make this into an Olympic sport."
And yet they almost got rid of wrestling.
Yeah,
Edward. I mean, I see you laughing, but that's. I mean, I'm no great athlete by any means. But the hardest physical challenge that I have ever faced in my life has been synchronized swimming.
Oh, I'm not laughing
It's
at the
tough.
actual. I don't know. I'm not laughing at the actual like what it is. That's not my point. My point was just someone does something, or whatever, and someone comes up with the idea. Let's make it an Olympic sport. And again,
curling.
I can imagine how hard. I can imagine how hard synchronized swimming is because it's all you all have to be in sync without really. You can't just watch over and go, oh, I got to do what that person's doing. You all have to know ahead of time. So yeah, I can appreciate the talent.
But when you're talking about like curling being an Olympic sport, and I know it takes a lot of skill to do curling, but I've always felt like ice shuffleboarders shouldn't get the same gold medal that a guy who can lift 900 pounds over his head.
Or shuffleboard. Why isn't shuffleboard an Olympic sport?
Yeah,
Well,
it should be.
Well, Russ. I mean, I know you're making light of curling, but outside of this United States bubble,
exactly, Canada,
curling is big time, especially in Europe. So
so is darts. So is darts.
Yeah.
Why is darts not an Olympic sport? Why is pool not an Olympic sport?
You're right. You're right, because I mean, like there are for a long time you could. I haven't seen it for a while, but watching TV, they would have pool championships, and they were pretty interesting to watch. Even darts, I mean, it's amazing how talented they are. Okay, got to get triple 19. Boom, there it is. He's not so easy. All right, hey guys, we're gonna cut to another commercial break. Here's the next trivia question. Talking baseball's greatest teams. This 1920s team rostered future Hall of Fame greats such as Lefty Grove, Al Simmons, Eddie Collins, Jimmy Fox, and Mickey Cochran. They outscored their opponents by almost 300 runs in the season. They had two 20-game winners in Grove and George Earnshaw. Which team was it that went to the first of their three consecutive World Series? That's our trivia question.
Went, not won, but went.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they had won the World Series before the 1920s. I remember that one. But this 1920s team, featured the main guys: Lefty Grove, Al Simmons, Eddie Collins, and Jimmy Fox and Jimmy Cochran. Those are all majors. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Second trivia question. This 1920s team featured future Hall of Fame greats, including Lefty Grove, Al Simmons, Eddie Collins, Jimmy Fox, and Mickey Cochran. We're just going to stop with that. Which team was this that went to the first of their three consecutive World Series?
Philadelphia Athletics.
Bingo, that is correct. Now, what gave it away?
And Lefty Grove's first name his real first name is?
Hold on. Oh my gosh, I know this. Why don't?
What's my name?
Vernon. That's right.
Yes.
I right before you said Vernon. Vernon Lefty
In fact,
Grove.
there is a field just outside of Fairfax, California.
Yeah.
That's I believe it's called Lefty Grove Field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what was he? He was a local, wasn't he?
He was a resident. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good player. I wonder if he was left-handed.
He was left-handed.
He was, okay.
But he talked about how growing up, the nuns whatever would try and slap your hand and make you try and write right-handed.
Oh yeah.
But which he learned to do, but he pitched left-handed.
And I just wanted to point out that there's a large number of people that switch dexterities. They're not ambidextrous, but they use their left hand for some things and they use their right hand for other things. I'm
I'm
one
like
of those
that.
people.
Yep.
I deal for whatever reason. I deal cards left-handed. I hold them in
Really?
my right hand and I throw them out left-handed. I don't know how it started, but I can't deal right-handed, so I probably could not be a blackjack dealer. Well, of course now they do it from a shoe, but
Yeah, and
they
now
don't
they do
let
it
you.
from a computer.
Well, in the old days, when they just had like a single deck and it was in the dealer's hands in Vegas, let's say, they would not allow left-handed dealers. The reason is
Huh.
because you have to go from left to right when you're dealing, and it's not it slows you down, and you potentially the other players could see cards. So if you were going from first base to third base, then you could easily do it left-handed, but
Mhm.
but because you do the other way, you have to be right-handed to do it. You didn't know that. One of those little
No,
interesting
I did not know that either.
trivia things.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe Phil Mickelson writes right, but golfs left, obviously.
Wow.
And my middle son Jake bats left, writes left, throws right.
Exactly. That's my point, is that people aren't as handed, quote
Yeah.
unquote, as a lot of people think they are. And I've always wanted to start a foundation for what I call the ultras dexterous, not ambidextrous, but the ultras
Well,
dexterous.
my brother did the opposite of what most big baseball players, major league players. He throws left-handed and he bats right-handed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like no, do the opposite. That's what you're supposed to do to get an advantage, at least for batting, right? Because if most
Yeah.
pitchers are right-handed,
It's whatever your brain. It's however your brain works.
Yeah,
It's however your brain works, and the brain is a lot more complicated than just being left-handed or right-handed 100% of the time.
that's true. And most people have how
You
many
can be
billions of
dominant.
cells?
You can be,
I've got at least a couple 100,000.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, fewer every day, but
Okay, got a question for you guys here. Major League Baseball will not be forced to move the All-Star game back to Atlanta from Denver. Now, I don't agree, but this is my own personal feeling. I don't agree with Major League Baseball moving the game over the voting issue, but suing Major League Baseball, I mean, seems ridiculous. MLB has a right to have the game wherever it wants, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
well,
Yes.
there are a
And
lot of companies that paid money, based on the idea that they were going to be in
yes,
Atlanta.
and that's the issue. That's the issue. That's the main issue. Why they're
Atlanta
suing.
has no one to blame but themselves.
that's true. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Russ is right. Yeah.
if they
This
fix the
is
voting
all
laws,
this is all Georgia. This is all. I mean, the reason why they lost that game is because of what happened. And
Well, yeah, and the thing is, I mean, like you said, the only how do people sue? Like, who's the people who are who are the people who are suing? Is it the businesses, the ones who geared up for it? Yeah, I mean, they don't have a contractual right. They're an independent third party, right? Is that what's
and I'm sure that all the contracts they sign have all sorts of force majeure and
Yeah.
things like that say, if there are problems with the city, if there's a disaster or something like that,
or this would be an act of God. Having,
Yeah, or, well,
having the fact that it got moved to Denver.
because of active dumb,
Yeah.
because they, there was nothing that made them have to vote on that. If they were at all smart, they would have waited till after the All-Star game to vote in that law.
Except that I don't think that they were thinking ahead of time. Okay, now what?
Of course they weren't.
Yeah, what things are going on in Atlanta that we have to kind of like wait till after
Right.
a certain part? That's not happening. And then Cole Beasley of the Bills is refusing to bow to the NFL pressure regarding getting vaccinated. And he said he may even just quit football. Says my values are more important to me than a dollar.
Bye.
well, my thing about it is, hey, if you feel that strongly about it, that's fine.
Yeah.
The league is so big, and there's so many really good receiver talent out there. They'll just go right out there and find somebody else.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's the player. I mean, he's got. It doesn't say anything about him, like I'm going to sue or whatever. He's just basically
No.
saying, "Listen, I'm not going to play by these rules, so I'm going to quit." And I kind of have to respect both sides, right?
Yeah.
I
I don't
could respect.
respect his side at all. I don't respect his side at all.
But Russ,
He's,
that is your right to not respect that.
Correct.
That is your right not to respect his side, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But unless you're Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, that can kind of tip the scales
Oh yeah.
of the court of public opinion. Who is Cole Beasley?
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
I know who he is. He's a fine player,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
he's not
Yeah.
the end all. Yeah.
Yep.
And
how
then,
many millions? Hold on. How many millions of people have been vaccinated right now?
lots.
And how many bad cases or ill effects have there been from the vaccinations? Really? You want to
Lots.
talk about a percentage?
Not high percentages,
No.
but lots of
A
numbers.
tiny fraction. Tiny fraction. More people have reactions to the flu shot every year
That's
than
what
they
I
do
had.
to the
Yeah.
COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of these people saying I'm making a statement and I'm not going to get vaccinated. Just do it already.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand you didn't want to be first in line and risk something, but now that it's been out for 8-9 months, unless you're going to quarantine yourself for the rest of until we know that herd immunity has been reached by everybody else, just get the damn shots.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody needs to stand on a soapbox and kind of say, "Look, I'm not vaccinated." Blah 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 blah.
Right.
He
there's
kind
no
of
big-
did.
What, say again?
That's exactly what Cole Beasley did.
Yeah. Well, that's. I'm just saying that I'm not. I respect his opinion about him. If he doesn't want to do it, and those are the rules. What's he going to do? Is he going to sue the
Let me ask you
NFL?
this, Edward, as a business owner,
Yeah.
if you, the business owner, decide it is the policy of this company that our employees must be vaccinated, I mean, you're certainly in your right to do that. I mean, it's your company.
Actually, there's laws coming down on that. It's very. I'm not an attorney, but I know that there
we
are
have
some.
one.
We do have one, but
Yeah.
but you have to be up
I
on
am.
this law.
I
So, Mr. Jackman, are you up on this specific law?
What, COVID stuff? Nobody is.
No. I'm talking about with employers, requiring if you're going to work here, you have to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
There's I mean, literally the laws are just coming out on this as to whether or not employers can, force, so to speak, that. And again, I can respect both sides. I can see how employers would say, listen, I want everyone to be vaccinated because I don't want to get sued by
Right.
anybody in the company who gets COVID who said, well, if you would have done this, I wouldn't have gotten COVID. I don't know. I don't think it's. I mean, my company's too small, so we don't have we don't have those rules.
But I can understand a company. Let's just say it's a company that decides, okay, if you choose not to be vaccinated, you must sign this piece of paper.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to get COVID tested once a week. You're just going to have to. If you're going to be in this workplace, it's just got to happen.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. If you choose not to get vaccinated, that you should have to prove that you're healthy. Of course, everyone should have done that in general. During flu, forget COVID, during the flu.
Right.
Hey, if you're sick, stay home. And it's like, well, okay, do a test to make sure, and take your temperature and all that.
Yeah, but
as long as it's not invasive.
If you've got the family where both parents work, and these are 8-hour shifts, and you got to make your shift to make your bones just to keep food on the table, and if you don't go to work, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
I can see where they're like, I'm a little sick, but I've got to make this money.
Yeah. And then, again, forgetting COVID, what about other illnesses that go flying around that can be serious, some people, it depends on the people's constitution, right? Their reaction.
Mhm.
You know, so some people, like I personally believe, in fact, I'm actually getting tested tomorrow to find out if I actually did have COVID a couple of years ago, which someone had said, well, it's too late because after 6 months, but then apparently they have these tests now that can determine whether or not those antibodies were in you or still in you. So I'll let you guys know next week how that turned out, and hopefully it won't hurt. I don't want blood, you know. No, actually, I don't mind giving blood. But yeah, no, as long as all that stuff is non-invasive. We got 45 seconds before we have to go to our last commercial break trivia question. Well, let's get predictions. I still say the Suns are the SUNS Suns are a force to be reckoned with.
I would say so. I mean,
Yeah.
this could be, their year. I mean, I'm sure there's some in the Eastern Conference would like to beg to differ.
Yeah.
On that.
Milwaukee, yeah, and
I
Atlanta
like
too.
Milwaukee. I really
Yeah.
think Milwaukee has, a lot to prove, and they were able to stop the team that everybody else had
Yeah.
penciled in.
And they
as
haven't
the
won
team
it
that
since
was gonna
Lou
win.
Alcindor, right?
I know,
That's
but
the last time that they won.
they're the only team that's in the Final Four that's even won an NBA championship.
Oh, that's right.
Rest-
Wow, that's right. Very
yeah.
cool. Hey, okay,
And
guys.
when I voice over Milwaukee Bucks highlights, it gives me a chance to say I like big bucks, and I cannot lie.
That-
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. That's a good one. I like that. Okay, here's our last trivia question. This National League team was in a grooming process that would take them to 3 consecutive World Series in the first decade of the 20th century. Winning 116 games in a season, the team was led by 2 20-game winners in Mordecai Brown and Jack Pfister. Their bats led the league in 11 major categories. I'm not going to give you this hint because it'll be a little bit too easy, but stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. You got to tell us what the name of that team was. All right. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. This National League team was in a grooming process that would take them to 3 consecutive World Series in the first decade of the 20th century, winning 116 games. 2 20-game winners, Mordecai Brown and Jack Pfister. Who was this team?
Mr. Jackman?
oh man.
And bonus points if you give me the year.
The year.
Okay,
Jeez.
Vern, you know this one?
I do not.
Okay, I'm going to give you a hint. Their defense was just as great with Tinkers to Evers to Chance, double play combination. Now who was it? Which team?
I'm just gonna say the Senators. I'm just gonna throw that
Senators?
out there.
No. They're talking about 3 consecutive World Series. We're going
The
dum.
Red Sox?
No. The Chicago Cubs.
The Chicago
Chicago Cubs. Tinker to Evers to Chance. And bonus
Ah.
points if you can give us the year, the first year. 1906. Right? Because 06,
Wow.
07, 08. In fact, wasn't that the yes, I do remember. This was they called it Boner, Merkel's Boner. Look that up. Merkel's Boner, yes. Where he we'll talk about it after the show. Merkel,
wow.
Fred Merkel's Boner. Look, yes, and it's not sexual, so that's a good thing. Okay,
all right.
guys, you ready for here's our thoughts for the day. People
I think we just had our thought of the day right there.
We'll be thinking about Merkel's boner for the rest of the day. Jeez.
Okay. All right. Here's our real thoughts of the day here. People who use selfie sticks really need to have a good long look at themselves. Right?
Nice.
And what concert is worth just 45 cents? 50 Cent Nickelback.
Nickelback.
Thank you.
And that's pretty good, huh? All right. Tune in.
I
next
knew
week.
it. I knew Nickelback was going to be
You
involved.
knew that
somewhere
one
in
was
it.
going to be. Okay. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.